I got a question for you. What does Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, or Stefan, people with this name, they don't know what their name is really. No Longer Human by Samu Dazi, and Lord of the Flies by William Golding all have in common? Well, luckily I know the answer, which is why I asked you. They're all banned books. See, banned books are kind of interesting because not wanting me to read a book is just going to make me want to read it. You've probably been in a bookstore and seen like a banned book table or some sort of display like that, and you always go for it because why would I not want to read the taboo? Which honestly, I don't know if these libraries or state governments understand that banning books is not the way to stop people from reading certain material. Because in all honesty, it's that material which we learn the most from books. Now, I thought it'd be a fun little idea if we kind of do a little reading vlog here where I read those 3 books. And one, I just genuinely review and see how I like the books, but also kind of go into why these books are banned and why they shouldn't be. Lord of the Flies is a popular school book you've probably read in school. I have not, which is exactly why I chose it to read for this video because 1, it's a popular book. I've heard it's very influential. And it kind of just seems like an interesting concept. No Longer Human is by a Japanese author who I've never read before. And honestly, I haven't read a lot of like translation books besides like The Odyssey. Also, I've heard a lot of people talk about this book and I've actually had friends recommend it to me. So I thought, why not? I've definitely mentioned this briefly, but Perks of Being a Wallflower is one of my favorite books and it is a banned book. I haven't reread it in a while and I thought, why not reread it? It's one of my favorite stories. I love the message it gives, and I think it's a great way to get into banned books. I suppose all that's left to do is to see why these books are banned and if they're any good. I'll be right back. Okay, how do I want to... Oh, I'm a genius. Welcome back, guys. Long time no see. I have finished the first book, which I chose to go with No Longer Human. Let's go into first why this book is banned. This is not like the most banned book on any of my books or in the world or anything. It's just like a somewhat banned book. I think it mostly gets by this because it is like a classic. And I feel like there's a little more wiggle room given to like classics that are a little rough around the edges in terms of topics. But this one right here, it mainly talks about like alienation. So like something like Catcher in the Rye, for example. But it's specifically from this like Japanese culture perspective and like the way things are done around there, at least during like the time this takes place, which seems to be around the 40s. So it deals with things like mental health and whatnot, and there's a couple like more dark things that happen in this book. And it seems like what is most common is anytime a character has any mental health illness, immediately banned book, not suitable for young readers or just even in general libraries, which seems completely ridiculous because I think the most helpful topics are the ones dealing with mental health issues in books. So what the heck, man? So this story follows a character named Yoza Oba, who is this very like almost antisocial personality. He doesn't understand why anyone does anything. He doesn't understand why they act a certain way. And he is not good at acting like a human. For example, absolutely hates confrontation. And I don't mean like, oh, won't stand up for himself. Like, won't stand up or express his opinion about anything. So you would probably guess this would just make him feel more and more alienated until he feels no longer human. Did I enjoy this book? Slightly. Was it at all relatable as much as I thought it would be? No. I went into this thinking that I'd feel some sort of way about how he was perceiving the world. That was not the case at all. It's clear that he is suffering in a way that not many people are. And this is not like a redemption story and whatnot, or someone's changing for the better. It's like, no, this is really just like a sad story. I felt really like bad for him. Like, I wish I could understand how he was feeling, but I really couldn't. It was just very strange. But even though it was a strange book, it wasn't a bad book by any means. So for that reason, I'm kind of giving it like a 6.7. And as a second thought, this book should not be banned. And you're going to hear me say that about any book, really. It's not specific to this. It's just for this, mental illness should not be a banned topic. It's ridiculous that we can't show even people who are like teenagers talking about this because that's when they're most likely to start going through it. And sure, was this book relatable? And do I think it'd be relatable to a lot of people? No. But I think it's a good way of like a case study of just looking at an individual who's going through life in a way that no one else is like. And I think that's important because it shows us how people perceive things differently and everyone is different. So by reading this book, I think it gives us a better understanding of that. Well, I think I'm going to start doing Lord of the Flies next. I'm feeling in a very like a flyy mood. So
Let's see how that one goes. Okay, where should I put... Oh, I'm a genius. Ya boy has finished Lord of the Flies. Okay, I'm joking. I'm not going to put that on my forehead the whole time. But yes, I have finished the book. Also, I didn't mention, look how cool this cover is. What is this? This is insane. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought it was a fun read. Fun and like interesting, not fun as in like roller coaster fun. Like fun as in I just saw like kind of a scary movie. So I want to tell you why this book is banned. But I feel like it kind of spoils it a little bit because the reason why it's banned is supposed to be surprising, impactful. But let's just sum it up with saying it contains violence among children. And I'm not talking like I punched you on the shoulder like, ow, that hurt. I'm talking like some violence here, man. And honestly, that's not like a really popular reason to ban books. I don't really hear that reason. It's usually because of, like I said before, like mental illness and things containing to that. So this one kind of like stood out and kind of one of the reasons why I picked it out. So this book is essentially about a bunch of little kids. I'm talking like ranging from what seems like 5 to maybe like 12 at most. They crash land on an island from like this plane, and all of them are completely oblivious to really what's even going on. And by what I mean is like, it seems they understand they've crashed in on an island, but they do not understand the severity of the situation. And they act like nothing's going on. They're just like, oh, look at where we are. The main character we follow is a kid named Ralph. I will say we do follow him, but it really feels like we're kind of following everyone. It's just kind of from his perspective. We also follow people like Piggy, Jack, Simon. They seem to be the most important of the kids. And we kind of just see how they deal with being on this island where it's all just kids and how they deal with that. To sum up this book, it's essentially showing how humans can turn so quickly to being barbaric and savage when there's not civilization, rules, laws in place. And William Golding, he's kind of a genius because using kids who are the epitome of innocence and showing them turn into what is definitely not innocent is a genius way of displaying that. I genuinely really enjoyed this book, and I think it is actually really impactful, and it makes perfect sense why this was so influential. But let's get into the banning reason. Using the term violence among children, it's very vague, but I can't actually say all the stuff that actually contains in the book. One, because YouTube, and two, because I don't want to spoil it for you, and I genuinely say you should read this book. But like this book and many others, the reason why it's banned is exactly why it exists. There's a reason why it contains these themes, just like other books contain mental illness or other topics that are a little touchy. It's so strange with like banned books because these books, they give off a message, there's a reason for it, and people act like those reasons are not good. Like we shouldn't show what people are struggling with, or we shouldn't show what human nature is like, and therefore ban them because of that? Why are we trying to make people less knowledgeable about humans, about us? And books like this really stand out because these are the books that make or break reading in general. No one's willing to write about some of these themes, and so people like William Golding, they're important because they're not afraid to say these things. It seems people just want to pretend like the world is all good and nothing bad ever happens, and I don't think that's a great thing to just teach little kids or teenagers. The world is definitely rough, but teaching them about the rough sides of it shows us how we can come back from that, how we can make a good thing out of a bad thing. All in all, I think I'm going to give this book an 8.4. So that leaves us with just Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I am very excited to start that one again. See you on the other side. Hopefully that was cool. I finished the last book of the challenge, which is Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now, the reason Perks of Being a Wallflower is banned is a little more severe than the other ones. In fact, I think it's one of the most banned books in the United States. Now, the main one is still mental health, as we covered in No Longer Human. It's ridiculous. People just apparently don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. But I want to talk about one of the reasons why it is banned, and it's perhaps one of the most ridiculous of reasons. But first, if you don't know anything about Perks of Being a Wallflower, let me give you a little synopsis. We follow a character named Charlie, and it's his freshman year of high school, and we explore his story through letters written to a stranger. Now, I've always been a fan of thinking that the stranger is us, the reader. He's writing to us. And so each letter is dated, and it tells you about whatever day it was for him, or what has been happening since the last time he wrote to you. And through this, we learn about Charlie's journey through high school, or at least his freshman year. We learn how he meets new friends, how he deals with new things that are old things that come up. Genuinely, I don't want to give you too much other than the fact that Charlie, in a way, is very much like all of us, or at least a piece of us. Do I feel like I'm him to a T? No, but I feel like I'm him sometimes. And so when I see him going through all these things that, by the way, are very realistic, I genuinely feel for him and I feel connected to him. It is why I think this book is one of the best I've ever read. Basically, read this book. What are you doing? But that reason why it's banned has actually nothing to really do with Charlie, but rather one of the side characters. And he's actually one of my favorite characters. His name is Patrick. He's a pretty outgoing guy, pretty wild, pretty funny. But the reason why, I guess, some schools and some libraries or whatever don't like him is because he's gay. And he actually does have a relationship in the book that, you explore over time and things happen. It is not the main point of the book. It's definitely a side one, but it's a very important one nonetheless. I'm going to mention this is not a graphic relationship. It doesn't say a ton of details about the inner and outs of their relationship, just the fact that it is gay. And there are some places that aren't a huge fan of that, and that's the real shame of this all. Because I think the message that whole relationship gives, as well as Patrick himself, is super genuine, it's important, and I think it's something a lot of people need to hear. But at the end of the day, people have opinions, and unfortunately, they'll ban it for just that reason. I don't really think I need to tell you why that's ridiculous. I think you probably know. Just know that this book hits on a lot of topics that I feel a lot of people go through at some point in their life, and I think it does it amazingly. I love all the characters in all their unique ways, and the fact that this is one of the most banned books. What are you doing? It's honestly such a shame that people won't read this book because of some preconceived notions about it. So I implore you, if you are at some stage in your life where you feel anxiety, depression, stress, friendship, whatever it is, this is a book for you. Also, a little side note, I have this lime green cover version, but there's a movie adaptation cover that I think looks dope. It's a great movie, by the way, too. You should watch it. I want that movie cover. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming on this journey with me through banned books and why it's simply just the most idiotic thing. But I had fun nonetheless. And it was a great excuse for me to read this book again. By the way, that's like really the only reason I did this challenge. So, yeah. But as always, y'all enjoy your reading, and I will be too. See you next time.